The moment I remember most clearly is not the judge reading the order, it's his laugh. It wasn't loud, just a breathy, satisfied sound when he leaned toward me and said, "You'll never see the kids again." Like we were discussing the weather, like custody was a trophy he'd just won. The house was listed in the documents as a $600,000 asset in California. It looked clinical on paper. In reality, it was the place where our daughter measured herself against the pantry doorframe in pencil marks, where our son learned to ride a bike on the cracked driveway. By the end of that hearing, it belonged to him. So did primary custody. I didn't cry in the courtroom. I didn't argue. I didn't interrupt. I signed what my attorney slid toward me because at the time, it felt like the ground had already given way. People mistake stillness for surrender. The weeks afterward were administrative. That's the word that fits. My access to the kids' school portal stopped working. The mortgage statements no longer carried my name. Friends texted neutral things, thinking of you. Let me know if you need anything. As if neutrality was kindness. I replayed everything, every conversation about money. Every time I'd said, "I trust you," I had stepped back from my career when the kids were born. It had felt mutual then, sensible, temporary. Temporary has a way of hardening into permanent if you don't watch it. I did break in private, not theatrically, just quietly. I sat on the floor of my apartment one night with the custody order spread in front of me and read it again. Then again. I stopped reading it as a story about betrayal and started reading it as a document. Dates, disclosures, signatures. Something didn't sit right about the property transfer timeline. The house had been refinanced 6 months before the divorce filing. I remembered because he'd told me not to worry about the paperwork. He'd handled it. I started asking for copies. The first attorney I'd hired during the divorce had been fast and agreeable. This time, I chose someone slower, a woman who didn't raise her voice when I told her what happened. She just said, "Let's look at the numbers." There's a strange relief in focusing on numbers. They don't laugh at you. We compared tax filings to sworn financial statements. There were discrepancies, not dramatic, not cinematic, but precise. Income reported one way to the court, another way to the IRS. The refinance paperwork listed asset values that didn't align with what had been disclosed during mediation. I didn't post online. I didn't confront him. When he uploaded pictures of the kids in the backyard, smiling in the house I'd painted, I pressed my phone face down and kept gathering documents. He thought I was done. You can feel when someone stops seeing you as a threat. The motion we filed was thin. Just pages. No accusations. A request for review based on inconsistencies in financial disclosure and property division. A petition to revisit custody given potential misrepresentation. Back in that same courtroom months later, he smiled when he saw me. Not kindly. Confidently. I didn't look at him this time. My attorney spoke calmly. She walked the judge through timelines, refinance date, income declaration, asset valuation. Then she handed up certified copies. There is a moment when authority shifts in a room. It's subtle. The temperature doesn't change. No one gasps. The judge began asking him questions instead of me. Why was the refinance not disclosed in full? Why did the income figures differ? Why were certain accounts omitted? His lawyer started flipping through papers more quickly than before. Color drained from his face, not horror in the theatrical sense, just the realization that something fundamental had been overlooked or assumed safe. The judge ordered a forensic review of marital assets, temporarily revised custody to shared pending investigation. It wasn't dramatic, no gavel slam, just a decision spoken into record. But his laughter did not return. Afterward, in the hallway, he tried to speak to me. Not apologetically, not aggressively, just confused. I kept walking. Shared custody isn't a victory parade. It's logistics. Drop-offs in parking lots, calendars synced and rinsed. The kids were cautious at first, as if testing whether I would disappear again. I didn't explain the court process to them. I showed up. I learned their new routines. I listened more than I spoke. The forensic review is still ongoing. The house may change hands again. It may not. I no longer anchor my sense of justice to its address. What changed wasn't the ruling, it was me. When he laughed in that courtroom, I believed for a moment that humiliation was a final state. That being underestimated meant being powerless. It doesn't. Sometimes it means you've been miscategorized. I am not interested in destroying him. I am interested in never signing something I haven't fully read again, in never outsourcing my awareness because it feels easier to trust. He mistook my silence for weakness. It was recalibration. And when the room shifted, when the judge's tone changed and the questions turned toward him, I didn't feel triumph. I felt steady. That was enough.